Hey Riley, I'm looking over your lesson plans, and this is the first one, narrative lesson plan number 1. And there's a lot of pieces I like about this. I like the modeling a lot, and I like the graphic organizers that you have in here too. There's just one piece of differentiation I'm going to push you for, and I'll show you where that is, okay? So this is well aligned. The evidence outcome that you chose aligns well with your essential questions and exactly what you'll be asking the kids to do in class. The learning plan, so good. So you start with why we tell stories, and then you tell them what they're supposed to be doing while you read the story with them. And I like some of the differentiation you have in here for students who might have visual impairments. And the only thing that I want to push you for, I like your like the heavy use of back and forth in here, that you have a lot of questions for the kids rather than just telling them everything. You're asking questions about the pieces that you want to draw their attention to, and that's a good way to do it because it helps the students to stay engaged. This here, hold on. Okay, so you should be ready with a piece of differentiation in your prompt here, because if there's a kid who says, I don't feel like there's ever a time when the odds were stacked against me, then you might need to either have some questions to scaffold them into a memory like that, or have some kind of an alternative but closely related prompt for that, in case you have a kid really push back on that particular prompt, okay? So here's your second one. This is lesson plan 1.5. And again, I feel like you've got a very nice alignment. You chose the right kind of evidence outcome for this lesson plan, and that tells me that you're doing a good job at delving into those and knowing which ones fit well where. Okay. All right, so you walk them, so you're going to spend probably about the first 30 minutes of class. You know, if they spend 5 minutes per sense, and then there's introduction and transition. So you're doing the first 30 minutes of class on sense writing, all right? And you're doing that at sacrifice to giving them time to write their drafts in class. So I might recommend that you, how would I say, like condense this just a little bit, because I think that it's a cool activity. I think it allows the kids to experience and then to express their experience in writing. So I don't want you to get rid of it. I think there's a lot of value in it. But I wonder, because it looks like the value is coming at the expense of time to write their drafts in class. You know, so even if you did, like, you know, you could choose 3 of the 5, you know, so that you cut this down to like a 20-minute thing. And then you had, hold on, bear with me while I scroll. Okay, you have them share out on their experiences, all right? And this here, okay, having them share out on their experience needs to be very purposeful, such that you would be looking for specific instances of a good job, like using sensory descriptions, because it would be easy for kids to just write, you know, a simple sentence that just has an adjective in it, you know, like, the candy was sweet. You know, you don't want to respond to that one with very interesting. Do you think you can incorporate sense writing? Because that's actually not what you're going for. So I would enhance this right here by having a report back to the class, and by having a criteria of things that you're looking for, and pushing the students towards that, so that you're using their examples to either say, yeah, this is really well done, I like how you did X, Y, and Z, or let's see if we can take that and kick it up a notch so that it's more relatable, so that it's more of a telling thing, you know, by including X, Y, and Z. Okay, so whatever those criteria are, because then that becomes a valuable learning experience for the kids, so that they know when they're writing what you expect from them in their writing, okay? And then you have, for homework, I want you to come up with 3 examples of sensory details you could incorporate into your narratives, rather than just having them do that in class. All right. And here's the thing with doing this in class. All right. I want you to either help them generate or you generate some criteria. Including sensory detail in a narrative is not done just randomly, just willy-nilly. There are moments in a narrative that need to stand out more than other moments do. Moments of climax, points of no return, moments of revelation, things like that. So instead of just saying include at least 3 examples of sensory detail, talk to them about including sensory detail that fits X, Y, and Z criteria like you did in class today, and choose the moment to insert sensory detail that's the most important moment in your story, right? So is it setting up the story? Is it the climax of the story? So that way you're pushing them more into middle school writing than just elementary writing. Because think about, like, little kids can use adjectives, like the dog was fluffy, the dog was smelly, and then they sentence combine. They go, the dog was smelly and fluffy, but they do it because their teacher asks them to do it. They don't necessarily do it with purpose. And you want your students to be doing this with purpose. Okay? I hope that's making sense. Okay, here's your 3rd lesson plan, and I really like this one. So again, we've got a good alignment and very purposeful lesson plan here, right? That, the article you read to them didn't have dialogue. They discussed how dialogue would be helpful, so good, we're inserting dialogue. So this is very, very well aligned, flows very smoothly, like from your last lesson plans. And wait a minute. Oh, there we go. Okay. You discuss why it's purposeful, right? The dialogue offers a more direct insight to the experience. Very nicely done there, that you've really kind of driven purpose home. I like that you kind of formatively assess and allow them to experience by doing the sentences on the board that need to be punctuated, and in that way then you can formatively assess and see where they need help. Be sure that you have the answer key actually in your hand, because it's hard to do, while you're teaching this, because it's hard to do classroom management at the same time that you're thinking about, like, fixing, comma errors and all that kind of stuff. And so that you're very purposefully stopping at specific moments and talking to them about why that particular comma goes in one particular place. Okay. I like that you're allowing them time to write in class. And I also am glad to see that you attach the rubric here, and that you will specifically be addressing the rubric so that the students know what they'll be graded on and what those expectations are. Especially in middle school, I think that's the good way to go, so that they can choose whether they're going to rise to those expectations or not. And we hope they do, right? Love the fact that you had a menu of choices for them so that they really could find a way that they felt most comfortable sharing their ideas with you. So I also really like that piece of this lesson plan as well. Okay, here's your last lesson plan, and I'm going to ask you for a few little tweaks in here, all right? So, okay, right, so you tell the students, very explicit about what it is that we're doing next, very explicit about revision means re-seeing, okay, and altering in light of. And it doesn't mean starting over, okay? This is a really nice missed opportunity right here where you could drive home some of the purpose of the piece again, that they're talking about their story and one of their greatest accomplishments, and it's really important that they be able to articulate themselves well so that people can understand the struggle, what it is that they went through. And sometimes, it's that idea, right? When someone says something to you and then they leave, and like 3 minutes later you're like, oh man, I know what I should have said. Like, I totally should have had this come back or that come back. Revision is a chance to actually do that. To go, oh my God, I should have said it in this way, so that you really have that opportunity to make sure that your piece is saying exactly what you want it to say and conveying exactly what you want it to convey. So don't miss the opportunity to drive home the purpose for them again, as you're asking them to rework what they've already done, because for kids, that's what it feels like, all right? So you are going to do a think aloud for them right here, a section of a narrative that you've been working on while the kids have been working, okay? For a lesson plan for methods class, and really, even if this was a lesson plan for realsies teaching, I would definitely draft out some specific bullet points. You say add detail that enhance imagery, tone, clarity, etc. But I want to see that you have that very intentionally done, right? What piece of imagery did you add at what particular moment? Why did you choose that moment, and why did you choose that piece of imagery, okay? Otherwise, without going through that criteria and without going through that decision, like, making your decision-making process crystal clear to them, it still feels like you're doing something magical to them. It's the whole black box thing, right? They see your rough draft, they see your final draft, and they're like, yeah, but I don't know what happened in her head in between those two. So when you say add details that enhance clarity, why? What needed to be clarified? Because you really wanted the reader to get your sense of X, and you don't feel like the way you had it written did that. So in order to help my reader get a sense of X here, I think that I could add some more, Y and Z, or maybe I could use this writing technique, okay? I want you to crack your head wide open and do the metacognition, and then give me the bullet points right here of how you're going to walk through your example and what you're going to say, okay? So a couple tweaks here, but the idea of the lesson plan looks really good, okay? I like that you bring the students back together and talk about the purpose and talk about how all of this revision is going to enhance their narrative. Okay, nicely done.